What's up, JEFusion fans? This is Philip, and welcome back to another video. So this is not gonna be your typical episode review video because whenever I do episode reviews, I usually do it after watching the episode or the show. But for this Kamen Rider Revised video, I am going to talk about episode 33. And as of this recording, it has not yet aired. Okay? Now, this is just based from the previews, and if you're gonna look for Kamen Rider episode 33 on the internet right now, you will probably already see some leaked photos taken from either Terebi Magazine or Terebi Kun. But either way, I guess there are going to be some spoilers, but again, do take note that this video came out before the actual episode. So, just to be clear, okay? But I guess if you think there are, or these are going to be spoilers, then probably just to be sure, should say that there could be some spoilers for episode 33 of Kamen Rider Revice, but again, it's gonna come soon anyway. So, with that said, let's move on with the video. Now, the main point of this video that I'm making right now is Aguilera. And basically, it is a focus on her, or if you would, it's a focus on her and Sakura. And you know that's the main point of episode 33, but I would like to focus on Aguilera specifically. So as you might see from previous episodes, uh, Aguilera basically just lost everything. No, she lived her life knowing that she is going to be uh, Gift's wife, and she was basically raised to be sacrificed to Gift, but uh, again, she saw herself as Gift's bride. But I think around episode 12 or 13, so we see Ortega betray Aguilera, and she does end up being a sacrifice, but not in a way that she would expect. So despite that betrayal at the hands of Ortega, uh, Aguilera still was set on becoming one with GIF one way or another, even if it means uh, actually sacrificing herself the way that Ortega was supposed to do to her, a few years prior, or a few episodes prior, rather. So uh, everything was lost, right? When GIF later slaps Aguilera in the face, meaning that to GIF, Aguilera is now useless. He doesn't need her anymore. I'm not sure if GIF is a he. I'm gonna assume for now, but let's say GIF is a he. So again, GIF rejects Aguilera. He already considers her useless, and he's going to about to, you know, resurrect anyway, or at least he's going to come. No, he's going to be free from his stone prison, I guess, if that's what you would like to think of it. That's how I think of it anyway. So, if you would also see Aguilera later, after that slap, she throws away the clothes that she wore as part of the dead man's, meaning she no longer wants to do anything with them, yet she still keeps the Queen Bee Vice stamp. And now she is fixated on fighting Sakura. And to be more specific, and I guess this would be spoiler territory for those who haven't caught up yet, what she basically wants is for Sakura to defeat her once and for all. However, Sakura had other plans. Sakura's idea, however, is that she could have her brother, right? She could have Iki separate Aguilera from her demon. And as of this point, especially with the Thunder Gale Vice Stamp, it is very much possible for him to do so. However, it is obvious that it's not what Aguilera wants. She specifically asks for Sakura to be the one to destroy her if necessary. She doesn't want what you would think as a form of redemption if, let's say, for example, Iki does separate her from her demon. Iki does have the idea of letting Aguilera stay at the Happy Spa and, work there just like what they did with Go, aka Julio. And actually, we'll get to him in a second. So, again, uh, the Igarashi's plan, so Iki and Sakura to be specific, so they do plan on separating Aguilera from her demon so that, she could live a normal life, but it's not what she wants. She, when she does see this plan, Aguilera saw it as an insult. It hurt her pride even further. Being already discarded by Gif, who she thought, who was going to be her uh, husband slash savior, messiah, or what have you. And then again, she probably would want to die fighting, but she sees that the Igarashi siblings' plan would only make her more pathetic. So now we get to episode 33. Now, up until episode 32, I think 31 and 32, we can see that Sakura as Kamen Rider Jan has trouble with Love Call. So it is made clear in episode 32 when Sakura has the Libera driver check if there's any damage. So Masumi Karizaki says that there's no problem with the driver. It is Sakura herself that has the problem. So she is actually quite torn. She doesn't say it. She doesn't even realize it, but she is torn between saving Aguilera and destroying her. And that actually leads to some sort of, you know, miscommunication or misunderstanding with Lovkov. And Lovkov ends up being uncooperative, leading to Kamen Rider Jan's transformations being cancelled mid-battle. Because Lovkov, as with the other demons that are represented, or the other demons that exist, at least with the Igarashi siblings. So Lovkov is a representation of Sakura's will, and therefore, as Sakura's determination or Sakura's will begins to waver, so does Lovkov, right? Not only does Kamen Rider Jan's transformation get cancelled mid battle, but Lovkov even rebels against Sakura because of this. So, again, near the end of episode 32, so Sakura finally makes up her mind and decides that she will be the one to defeat Aguilera once and for all. So, again, we go to episode 33. Now, if you've probably seen some parts of the preview of episode 33, or if you have seen the leaked images from the magazines, we actually see Aguilera and Sakura, going out, or they actually have fun. They appear to have gone on a trip to an amusement park, an aquarium. You know, it's as if they've been best friends for a long time. And if you actually look at it, if Aguilera is going to die at the end of episode 33, then this, scene where we can see them, act like the best of friends, it's all the more tragic. And honestly, I actually like this kind of development. Not that I want Aguilera to die, but there's going to be more meaning if she does die. So, you know, what is with Aguilera's obsession with Sakura, right? So, Aguilera was raised, she was probably born and raised within the confines of, the dead man's cult. She was probably, we don't know her parents, but they probably were high ranking members of the cult, and she's basically treated like a princess. Now, uh, I believe in episode 32 there are flashbacks to her childhood, but probably it's like a dream. So she is surrounded by cult members, but then the child Aguilera, by the way. So Aguilera, as a child, she is surrounded by the cult members who, well, they play with her, and she seems to have had a happy childhood. But again, in that dream, she turns around one moment and realizes everyone is gone. So it is very symbolic for me, at least, so how I observed it. It is very symbolic of how Aguilera grew up, what kind of life she had. She probably was raised, again, in an environment where everybody seems to love her, but from what from my perspective, at least, everyone else, everyone who surrounded her was below her. Even Go, aka Julio, the one who was closest to Aguilera, even after she was betrayed, or even after they were betrayed by Ortega, you know, he kneels down every time they meet. Even now that uh, Go is part of the Happy Spa, he's now with the Igarashis, whenever he finds Aguilera, he still refers to her as Aguilera sama. And again, he bows down, he kneels down to her, which means one thing: Aguilera was always treated above everyone else. She never saw anyone as equal to her, and nobody saw her as equal to them. And one day, here comes Sakura. So, of course, we know the kind of relationship that Aguilera and Sakura had. And ever since Aguilera took an interest in Sakura, for me at least, everything became clear. Sakura is the first and probably the only person that Aguilera saw as a possibly true friend. Sure, again, their meetings were antagonistic, but again, Aguilera showed genuine interest in Sakura because growing up in the cult, right? Sakura never had anyone, even, her age. I barely even saw other kids. I think uh, in Aguilera's flashbacks, she was always surrounded by adults. So, you know, having someone close to her in age and someone who sees her equally and someone she can see as equal to herself. So that, for me, is how Aguilera thinks of Sakura. She is the only person that, you know, Aguilera sees as a true friend. Again, even Go, or aka Julio, uh, probably, uh, you know, he doesn't see himself equal to Aguilera. He himself bows down to her, like I've mentioned earlier. So again, well, we do see like genuine concern from Aguilera towards, Go or Julio, uh, but again, there's still that uh, gap between them. Aguilera is still seen as someone who is above Julio. That's why, uh, of all people, she still chooses Sakura to be the one to, uh, finish her off. So that's why, in episode 33, we will see them bond like they've been the best of friends for a long time. And really, that's the point, right? So, it is Aguilera's pride, and therefore, you know, for her, she has lost everything. And, this actually kind of reminds me of Kamen Rider Drive's at least the final battle against, you know, Drive and Heart fighting alongside each other. And well, it is sad. I really find it sad that Hart had to die, but he died knowing that he had a true friend in Shinosuke. And I think it is going to be that same kind of scenario if uh, Aguilera does indeed die in episode 33. So, again, it may be the conclusion to Aguilera's story, but it would have been interesting for her to go through a redemption arc. But going back to Julio for a little bit, so what is the difference between Julio and Aguilera, and why am I comparing the two of them? So Julio, aka Go, before he joined the Deadmans, he was an ordinary guy. He was bullied, sure, and it led to him, having hatred against humanity, and therefore he ended up joining the Deadmans. But again, outside of that, he is a normal human being who had normal human experiences, and therefore he knows how to live life outside of the Deadmans. While while Aguilera, as I've mentioned, she grew up within the confines of the cult, and most likely she knows nothing, or she has very little idea of how to live outside the cult. I mean, sure, she goes out, uh, you know, uh, she sometimes wears human, like normal human clothing, but again, that's more of a disguise. But she still acts as part of the cult, you know, for whatever goal she would have had back then. But again, now that uh, Aguilera has been discarded and she has turned her back against, you know, or she not really turned her back against, but she just simply turned away from the life she used to know, right? But to her, it's all that she had. That kind of life within the dead man's cult is all that she knew. And therefore, you know, at least from, again, so from how I see it, from how I observe it, uh, she's been, uh, I guess you could say, too indoctrinated to change that, you know. And probably the last hope for her is Sakura. Aguilera is too proud to, completely turn away from that dead man's life. Again, she did throw away her old dead man's clothes, but she still holds on to the Queen Bee Vice stamp, and she wouldn't allow Iki to separate her from her own demon, right? So it's like that indoctrination has been embedded deep into Aguilera's personality that uh, even though she seems to want to live a new life, she can't. It's hard for her to let go. And therefore, as her only friend, you know, Sakura should be the one to save her, even if it means destroying her in the process. That is Aguilera's last stand. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please do leave the like button and leave a comment what you think about Aguilera and her conclusion. If this is going to be the end for her, is it? For me, this could be a good idea, but if you have a different opinion about it, sure, why not? Leave it in the comments down below. And of course, share this video with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you get the latest from JEFusion. This has been Philip, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.